Hello, everybody. Jeanette Anderson here for the Bodacity Show, and I'm only 45 minutes exactly late. It's been one of those days. I forgot to check in with my accountability coach this morning for the very first time, like completely forgot. Didn't do it late or anything like that, just completely forgot. Till about 2 o'clock, she said, are we missing something? And then also got busy, heads down, and completely forgot to do the show. So my apologies, everybody, for being inconsistent. I even had reminders pop up to remind me, and I was still so heads down and in the zone that I completely spaced out on this. So today's topic is not about how not to space out on things, but part of what I'm really in the zone on that I thought I would share some information with you on briefly here is content creation. So if you're doing a webinar, a course, a speech, often one of the things that I see that people are guilty of, myself in particular, is wanting to provide so much value that we cram it full of information, and I want to tell them this, and I want to tell them that, and I want to do this and that, and it gets to be so busy that it's kind of like being hit with the fire hose. So I wanted to just share with you kind of my process for creating What the Hell Do I Sell? How to package, price, and position your expertise. Now, I go old school and use a little booklet. Oops, wait, there we go. So you can see there's Saturday's layout. Oops, wait, hang on. Let me back it up. Okay, there. What the hell do I sell? And I've got over here what the kind of the major premises are that I promised. So the 3 whys and a what, and how to the customer journey, how to package, how to price, and how to position as the major content pillars that need to be covered in this. I also have what they call the purpose, function, and objective is part of creating an experiential learning model for courses and content. So really what that is, the simple version of that is why are you doing what you're doing? So I do that for each day, for each section, and for each exercise. Now, because part of that is you really want to know where you're taking people on this journey, so that it's not just a bunch of random information thrown at them. I could easily fill up days and days and days with content, but the purpose is to take people on a journey that gets them from point A to point B. So this content is going to be about supporting them and really getting clear on what the hell do I sell and how do I sell it. And so we want to make sure that we address that major content. Now, here's what I do, because I've been doing this for so long. This is kind of my process, which is a bit abbreviated, but there we go, put down, the day and the flow of the day with basic exercises and components. There's Thursday night, there's Friday, Friday day. The pink highlights are handouts or templates, some kind of processing structure that I need to help them with getting clarity on that piece. So in that case, they're actually templates that they'll be filling in, or they're forms, or there's some kind of processing system or technique. So it's a roadmap or it's a something. And then through including breaks and lunch and so forth and so on. That then gets converted into what's called a PAG, which I can't share with you on here because I haven't figured out how to show my desktop from Facebook Live. I can do it on Zoom, but I can't do it here. Anyway, so what that is a written out version with the timing. So how long will the welcome take? 5 minutes. What are we going to do as an icebreaker to get to know one another? So what the exercises are there, and how long that will take, and so forth. Now, here's the thing that I tend to, and really what you're doing when the breaks are, when dinner is, etc., etc. Here's the thing in terms of developing content. There's a couple of different things that you want to pay attention to. One is the ebbs and flows of energy. So you want to make sure that you've got things that are high energy when people are coming back from a dinner break or a lunch break is in particular, because what happens, people are sleepy. So you can't put them into a closed eye process, for example, afterwards, or something that's fairly slow or very requires a lot of thinking, or that they're on their own working on stuff, because they're likely to fall asleep on you. So you need to think about the energy of the people throughout the day. The energy of the flow of the information needs to match that. Now, I tend to make all of my courses experiential, which means that we're doing things to help clarify this, because just talking at people for 3 days is boring as shit and isn't my style and isn't the best learning technique. For adult learners, an experiential model works better for retention. Now, what I am learning to do, and what I am going to be learning to do even more with this and with the next iteration of it, is how to pull out a bunch of content so I have more room for stories. Stories are memorable. Stories are a way that people really attach to information and remember it long after the event is gone. Content is great, and you and I know lots of stuff that we don't apply. How come? Because we can't retain it, and we don't retain it because it isn't as memorable as it needs to be. So that's why experiential learning is so powerful, because when we're doing things with it, whether it's creating some kind of art piece, or even talking in a dyad, or doing a small group process or something like that, we're engaged and involved in more than just one sense. So we're not just actually writing or listening or even just watching. We're actually engaging our other senses, and we're actively participating in getting that clarity and having the aha, in seeing it played out against a different backdrop. So I really encourage you, if you're creating content, to take some formal training in facilitation skills, in how to be a better facilitator. Even helps with things like keynote speaking, because you can weave in elements of application pieces, takeaways, callbacks, various different techniques that help you have your content be more memorable and applicable, which is really what I'm all about. I really want to make sure that people don't just come and learn a whole bunch of more content, but they actually apply it and get to use it in their business right away to get some ROI. It's not that we don't know, it's that we're not doing what we know. So here's what I would encourage. If you're writing a speech, a workshop, a webinar, anything that you're creating where you're teaching people something, write it down, flesh it out, put in what you think you need to provide. Then I want you to go back and do what I'm doing right now, which is writing that overview, putting the timing to it, recognizing that once you put the timing to it, it's like, oh, that's way too long. And then go back and really look at it with an eye to, is there a simpler way to get them from point A to point B? Do I need to lengthen the journey in order to get them from point A to point M? Or is there a way to kind of combine, delete, edit something, content, so that there's more space for the content to breathe, for the absorption, for interactions, for processing? Really, frankly, where most of the work that I do and where the value I add is when I'm processing with people and working with them one-to-one, and really helping them see how it applies to them, or tweaking and honing their copy or their positioning, or what do you do answer, that kind of thing. So really help them with them. And in that process, other people learn by watching. So I, like many of you, and by the way, this speaks to a bigger, deeper issue. The part of the reason why we put so much content in, if we're going to tell the real truth on ourselves, and this is where I learned this and developed this habit, this bad habit, by the way, it's not helpful, is that we believe, and especially as women, that we have to be more, do more, and have more to be adding value. And that's not the case. In some cases, being more, doing more, and having more actually, hi Angela, actually can undermine our effectiveness, especially when it comes to training and content provision. One great nugget, one great piece of information that someone applies is worth 10 times more, both to them and to your credibility, which then means to your conversion, to your business success, than 10 pieces of information that they immediately forget as soon as they get offline. So less is more. And we need to deal with those beliefs in us that say, I have to be more, do more, and have more in order to be considered valuable. So I definitely have struggled with that in my whole life. I got to work harder. I got to give more value in order to differentiate myself, in order to be worth them paying me. And this course has so much value, and I'm offering it at a ridiculously low price because I really wanted to get this up and out and launched and get back into momentum for me. I've been working with other people and other people's content and other people's stuff and helping them build their business, and so have lost my momentum in building my own business and being a stand for myself. So part of why I'm doing this is just to get it launched, get back into the flow, and I'm loving being back in the flow. I'm loving creating content and even being back in the sales process. For me, because I was in resistance for about 3-4 months after I finished the project that I was working on for almost 3 years. And because it's often easier to sell other people, isn't it, than to sell ourselves. But as I got it back into the flow of it, doing discovery calls, talking to people, having the conversation, and really as I started to create the course, I got clearer and clearer on just how much value there is that will really support people. The more excited I got about that, the easier it was to have the conversations, the more conversations and people signing up for the course, the more excited I was to create something that was going to be really fun and valuable for them. So the point of this, and there is a point, is to make sure that when you're creating content, when you are, and whether it's content in a program or even with your coaching or your services, if you find yourself feeling like I need to put in more, I need to add more, I need to give more, I want you to first check in with, wait, where's that coming from? Is that coming from some version of not enough? Who I am is not enough, my value is not enough, what I'm giving them is not enough. Because I'm willing to bet in most cases, at least 9 times out of 10, that's not true. It's just the stories that run and undermine our confidence and frankly, undermine our strategy and our success, because it keeps us in that story of not enough, which then creates the proving and the having to prove dynamic, which creates the pushing, which creates it coming from that sense of scarcity and proving, which is nobody's friend, not yours, not your customers, nobody's. So if there's any whiff of that, then my encouragement is back up the bus, take a look at the value, get real clear with yourself, put on your big girl panties and say, no. There is more than enough value in here, and I'm going to be confident enough to pull out some content so I can put in value. Our value doesn't come from the volume of our expertise. Our value comes from the expertise we provide that gets applied. Ooh, that rhymes. I love that. Our value comes from the expertise we provide that gets applied. Really, gonna make a bumper sticker out of that one. So, in fact, I gotta write it down because I'll forget. Provide, applied. So, anyways, I'm just like grooving on my fine self here. Coming back to you, my hope is that this is a good reminder for you, whether it's in providing your services, your products, whatever it is you're doing, that you come back to remembering you don't have to prove anything. Even if you're starting out, you do need to demonstrate value, but there's a big difference between that and the grounding of proving. And in most cases, you need to pull out some of the complications, the more, in order to give yourself and your customers or your clients space to breathe, absorb, and really get all the nutrients. It would be like if your body needed nutrition and you just ate in order to get a volume of stuff in there, versus choosing really beautiful, nutritious, healthy food that your body could absorb and get the nutrients out of easily and quickly without having to stuff yourself full. So here's to having a juicy workshop, seminar, whatever it is you're creating that is nutrition rich, not content packed, and that you have fun with it so that your people can have fun with it. If you have any comments or questions about creating content, about how to know what's too much, or about just creating something where you really get that there's a good flow to it, then please feel free to post in the comments below, and have a bodacious week. I am looking forward to October 10th to the 12th here, working with a really great group of entrepreneurs who are highly motivated to figure out what the hell they're selling and how to do that in a way that's going to create a real win-win for them and for their clients. If you are in Calgary or feel spontaneous enough to want to come here, I do still have room for 2 more people and would love to have you. You know, go ahead, be spontaneous. It works. And the course does come with a guarantee. You're welcome to go to Eventbrite and just put in what the hell do I sell, and the link will pop up. I'll also post it in the thread below this. And my hope is that you are getting yourself out there, that you are offering your expertise in some format where you are providing that to people and putting it out in the world. Just saw Lisa Nichols telling a story on a Mind Valley masterclass about how she wanted to be a motivational speaker. And so she would go every week and stand in front of her grandmother and read a story to her grandmother that was 3 or 4 minutes, and her grandmother would give her feedback, and she'd highlight what works and then put it in the folder. And in this folder, she had, after months and months and months, tons of stories. And finally one day her grandma said to her, "What is it you wanted to be?" "Oh, a speaker." "Oh, okay. So then shouldn't you perhaps be speaking to someone other than your grandma? So I want you to get out there and be speaking to someone other than your grandma. Put your information out there, be an expert, and don't worry about putting so much in. You want to have your expertise provide application, or, oh, see, I should have written it all down, so that it gets applied. All right, guys, have a bodacious day, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.